What if I told you that the future of robotics, AI, even science itself, was all kickstarted simply by the desire to make video games look better? It sounds wild, but that is the incredible story of NVIDIA, a company whose 30-year bet on gaming is now reinventing, well, pretty much the way our entire world works.
I mean, that's a pretty bold prediction from NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, doesn't it? But for him, this is a future he's been methodically building for decades. And to really understand how we get there, we actually have to start by looking back.
That's right. The whole journey to a world of intelligent robots, it didn't start in some high-tech AI lab. Nope, it all started with a much simpler goal: making video games look incredibly realistic. It all began with this one single insight, a spark. Back in the early 90s, NVIDIA's founders realized something fundamental about how software works. They saw that inside any program, you have two totally different kinds of work going on, and to be really efficient, you need two totally different kinds of processors.
So here's the core difference. On the left, you've got a CPU. Think of it like one brilliant person solving a really complex problem, but they have to do it step by step. On the right, you have a GPU. That's not one brilliant person, it's an entire army, where every soldier tackles one small piece of the puzzle all at the same time. This parallel approach was the perfect solution for rendering the incredibly complex 3D graphics that the massive and fast-growing video game market was demanding.
NVIDIA's bet on gaming, well, it paid off big time. It created this powerful cycle. The huge gaming market funded a ton of R&D, which led to even better GPUs, which then drove more game sales. They were building the engine of the gaming world. But then, something totally unexpected began to happen.
Scientists started realizing that all this massive computing power, which was designed for making virtual worlds, could actually be repurposed. They started, literally, tricking these gaming GPUs into solving their own incredibly complex problems, things like medical imaging and quantum chemistry, way faster than anyone ever thought was possible.
So seeing this, NVIDIA made a huge company-defining decision. They created CUDA. It's a platform that basically handed the keys to the GPU over to the rest of the world. So instead of having to trick it, any programmer could now directly tap into its parallel power for any task they could possibly dream up.
And the impact was just profound. For scientists, this wasn't just about going faster, it was about what was now possible. As one researcher famously told Jensen, it felt like time travel. Problems that would have taken more than a human lifetime to solve were suddenly, incredibly, within reach.
So the stage was perfectly set. You had all this parallel processing power, just unlocked for anyone to use. All that potential was just sitting there, waiting for a spark. And in 2012, that spark finally ignited a revolution.
This timeline really shows the domino effect perfectly. First, in the 90s, the GPU is born for gaming. Then, in 2006, CUDA comes along and unlocks its power for everybody. And that one-two punch is what enabled the breakthrough moment in 2012. An AI model called AlexNet absolutely smashed the world record in an image recognition competition. That was the big bang.
And here's why that was so huge. AlexNet's success signaled a massive shift. We were moving away from painstakingly writing code for every single instruction to a whole new model where we could just train a computer to learn patterns on its own by showing it enormous amounts of data. And you know what? NVIDIA saw this coming. After that AlexNet moment, they went all in. We're talking tens of billions of dollars invested over the next decade, building the architecture for this new world of computing long before AI was a front-page headline. It was an incredibly patient and, frankly, a very high-stakes bet on the future.
So, where is all this leading? For decades, this whole revolution has been happening inside the computer, in the digital world of text and images. Now, NVIDIA is focused on the next great frontier, bringing that same AI intelligence out of the screen and into our physical world.
Okay, so how do you train a robot for the real world? I mean, you can't just let it wander around breaking things, right? The answer is to build a digital twin of our world. First, you use something called Cosmos to give the AI a foundational model of physics. Teach it about gravity, friction, and all that. Then, you ground that AI in Omniverse, which is this hyper-realistic virtual sandbox. And the result? Robots can train on millions of scenarios safely and learn way faster than they ever could in real life.
And the applications for this are just everywhere. We're talking self-driving cars, autonomous warehouses, even humanoid robots. They're all going to learn and master their jobs in these digital worlds first before they ever perform them in our physical one.
And that's how that opening quote from Jensen Huang starts to become a reality.
Now, a world full of autonomous robots might sound a little intimidating. But according to NVIDIA, the philosophy behind all this isn't to replace us humans. It's to empower us, to make us superhuman.
The vision is that each of us is going to be surrounded by AIs that are experts in specific things. So they handle the boring stuff, the time-consuming tasks, and that frees us up and gives us the confidence to tackle bigger, more ambitious, more creative challenges. The whole idea is to feel superhuman because of AI.
So what does all this mean for you right now? Well, the key takeaway is to see AI not just as a tool, but as a collaborator. Use an AI as your own personal tutor to learn a new skill. Get really good at interacting with it, at prompting it. Constantly ask yourself, how can I use AI to do what I do, but better? The barrier to knowledge is just getting lower and lower for everyone, every single day.
The starting line for creating something new, for learning something new, it's just been moved forward for all of us. It's like we've all been handed a new set of superpowers. So the only real question left is the one right there on your screen. What are you going to do with yours?